But yeah, besides that, Ningen actually brought up a very interesting point of discussion since we're talking about TURs in general before the stream, and I felt like we should talk about this. So it's the idea of, are TUR characters even worth like summoning for anymore because of the fact that we have so many of these like new schedule changes and things like that. I think Ningen will be able to explain it better than I am since he is the one who brought it up. But I think he heard it from one of his channel members, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was a comment, which I'm trying to find it now just so I could give credit to the person who made the comment, because I do remember basically what it was. I'm just trying to find it to see if I can give that person a shout out now, but I don't seem to be able to see it. But I think it's because it was on the video that I made talking about like who is the next unit going to be, and it was, I'd made a post to get people's like ideas of who they wanted to see next, and then somebody brought up a point that like it kind of doesn't matter who it is, because partly with what we've talked about with the fact that we have the global Dokkan campaign coming up, but it's just the fact that like a lot of these big premium LRs and like big celebration units are all LRs now, and so the point that was kind of raised is like, is it even worth summoning for TURs anymore? Here we go. It's
Mhm.
someone, I don't know if it's pronounced Pal or Palais because it's Palle. But yeah, it says, I hope we get hype characters as LRs because TURs are not worth summoning anymore. Kid Goku and Co are good, but I don't have a reason to run them outside of their own team. There are better options, and all of them are LRs. Maybe it's something you could discuss on the next podcast. So, are Dokkan Fest TURs still worth summoning for? I think it depends, right? Because like
Mhm.
it does depend on the team build, especially. But there are a lot of teams, like you think about the anniversary, right, and the big units like the fusions and the 7-year EZAs and stuff. Like the optimal team, really, for the fusions is basically like a full team of LRs. But I think what it comes down to is like just the quality of the releases, right? Because like a TUR like hit, like Minato mentioned earlier, right, with like hit, because hit is so good. Like there are teams that you would run him on, and it doesn't really matter that he's not an LR, right? So I think a lot of it does come down to the design of the units, but especially with these, like I think it's because TURs now are very largely just these like what we would call like the filler celebrations, and then so many
Mhm.
of the big celebrations have become LRs now. Because I think it's what like Saiyan Day and Golden Week are kind of the only two. I wouldn't even call them like the big celebrations, but like the mid to higher level that are not LRs anymore, right? I think everything else now,
Mhm.
because we've got anniversary, what was worldwide, Tanabata, like all these big ones are like the big LR units now. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
I'm gonna say it's the same thing that it's literally the same point of reason that I've been saying for years. It's
Mhm.
more of what you should summon for what you like. I think above all, and whilst I would prioritize these major celebrations, like you realistically don't need dupes for most characters. I think especially the large celebration characters. Um, and if you save enough stones, you're likely gonna have leftovers. And it's a thing of, oh, if you're gonna find this October TUR character, like let's say you're a huge fan of like Tank Top Trunks, like you really like Trunks as a character, then in October they released like Tank Top Trunks as a Dokkan Fest TUR. They made TUR banners in a way where I think it's very easy to hit pity, especially as a longer time player. Like 500 stones, even you could get lucky enough, especially with the guaranteed featured every third multi. It's a thing of, it's not going to harm you mega in the long run to get a character you like. And it depends because, I mean, this person brought up, Kid Goku and Co. This is probably a person who's not really necessarily a fan of Kid Goku or Hits or Cell, right? But maybe they're going to be a big Trunks fan, or maybe they'll be a big fan of another character that releases, and it's like, oh, I actually really like this character. I'll go for them. The major celebration should, if you're struggling to clear content, the best recommendation is always to summon for the major celebration characters, just because they're going to be the ones that will very easily clear this content. But I think that, especially if you're a player who uses items and you're a casual player who doesn't care about no item runs, you can realistically go for whoever you want as long as you effectively summon to build their team. You should be good to go for the most part. Now, something like Universe 6 is a little tougher to do that for, but that's why it depends on case by case scenarios, like Megan said. So,
Yeah, you're not exactly lining up at the door for Universe 6 characters every time, because especially like it's just about being like the nothing has really changed in terms of being responsible with how you want to summon, right? And it's always like because I do should you summon videos all the time, and the thing is always like, listen, if this is your favorite character and you're gonna have the most enjoyment like possible by using this character, then by all means summon for them. But it's sometimes you kind of have to understand that this might not be the most responsible decision in terms of how you were using your stones, and that like again, it's the most responsible to you if it's your favorite character, but a character like this Kale and Caulifla or like not Kale and Caulifla, excuse me, like God Goku and Hit, not Kaioken Goku. I can't talk. Definitely just not like I think the Hit banner was okay, but the backbone of this game, aside from Easy Ace, has definitely become LRs. Like we've really kind of reached this era now where all LR teams are extremely viable. Extra keeper, orb changing, all of like this fun stuff, the support that LRs are giving now. Characters like back in the day, like the AGL Turleses of the world or the STR Topos, are just not necessary in terms to run like a viable team. Like Festival of Battles, obviously you can run Kid Goku, you can run Kale and Caulifla, but the most common team that people are using is 6 LRs. And is Key an issue on that team? Sometimes. But for the most part, not really.
I would argue though that it's not like TURs can't break into that limit. I think that's something that a lot of people are
Yes.
also misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
While the best characters in the game will always be LRs, there can always be characters that could break into that either ranking or be around that level of strength, like Tech, Khalifa, and Kale. Where I would
Yes.
say Tech, Khalifa, and Kale deserves a spot on that team when they're running festival battles, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could argue Hit could be a really good spot on that team, especially with the Ghost Usher at the end. Like um there's situations where you can use a lot of these different characters. And I think that, and obviously the big celebrations with these LRs, that's how they're gonna market these characters like as being the strongest. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what Will said. You also need to consider what's responsible summoning, but also it's good to consider when these characters may actually return,
Yep.
because it could be a thing of, oh, I really like this Golden Week character, but then I know that this Golden Week character may return for maybe, let's say, these Golden Week characters, because I'm gonna assume that they're not gonna return on Global Dokkan campaign
No,
because
yeah.
that's like
Too
a month
soon.
away.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
that they're going to return in the Tanabata spot instead. And let's assume, just for discussion's sake, oh, I really like these Golden Week characters, but I'm okay with being patient so I could summon a Global Dokkan campaign. And then when Tanabata rolls around and these characters return, that's where I can get them. That depends on how patient you are, of course. But if
Yeah.
you want to go the most responsible way, there are chances you could still get your favorite characters, as well as having a net win, right? That's why I said it's very situational and like TURs, right?
This game, everything is situational, I feel like.
Yeah.
So unless it's like anniversary or global Dokkan campaign, we got to get used to
Yeah.
saying that, not saying worldwide, but like, really, like, I've always been a proponent of really, like, it's like there's 3 times a year you really should be summoning, if we're being honest, but, or I could recommend summoning, should I say. But again, that's an easier said than done thing. It's very hard to be that disciplined.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like when you give advice about summoning, because I do the same, right? When I talk about
Mm-hmm.
like the summon or skip videos, it's like if you're free to play or you don't spend much on the game, you've got to try and get the most value out of your stones, right? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it can be not as fun, I guess. That because the optimal thing, if you want to get the best units in the game when they come out, like especially with the new schedule, like we were saying earlier, with them being 6 months apart now, is you just mainly want to be summoning on those 2 big anniversary campaigns. And then some people will say, oh yeah, so I only get to summon like every 6 months. That's really boring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I do get that. And it's kind of the thing that I've always said over the years. It's like Vilify was saying, if a character comes out that's your favorite character in the game and you want them enough because they're your favorite character from Dragon Ball, so you drop like 1,000 stones to get them, like there's nothing wrong with that. It's when those same people then, like a month later, it's the anniversary, and then they're posting like complaining, oh, I didn't pull any of the anniversary units, I'm going to quit the game. And it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
if you hadn't spent 1,000 stones like the month before the anniversary, maybe that wouldn't have happened, right? But
And Yeah.
So
There's
like you
also
should
another
summon
thing
for
to
what you
that.
like, but yeah, in terms of
Mhm.
getting the most value, those big celebrations are always going to be like where the premium banners are and everything, right? So
Yeah.